Cracker Barrel tried to modernize their logo, and within a week, well, they had to completely reverse course. What should have been a very simple logo refresh turned into a very tough lesson of what not to do, and what happens when you don't pay attention to the signs and the signals of your customers and the culture. Let's talk about it.
Welcome to the API for Everyone Daily Brief.
On August 19th, Cracker Barrel unveiled their new refreshed logo. They had removed the gentleman who was in the logo, referred to as Old Timer. Come to find out, I did a little research. I didn't know this. It's based on a real person whose name is Uncle Herschel, and he is the uncle of the original founder of Cracker Barrel named Dan Evans. So I think that's a pretty fascinating little piece of history there. But they removed Uncle Herschel and they removed the barrel, and they just kept Cracker Barrel in here, I'll just put it right here so you can see it. Now, I think looks like every other logo that's really been released over the last 5 or 10 years. To me, it looks a lot like the Golden Corral logo, and I wouldn't assume that's really what they wanted. And I get it. This move was intended to modernize, update a dated looking restaurant, if you will. But that's kind of the shtick of Cracker Barrel, is they're an old timey restaurant that kind of calls back to the days when you ate dinner around the table with your family. Maybe you went to grandma's and had the big dinner and you ate the comfort food that is that meat, potatoes, country fried steak, whatever that is for you. Everybody has these favorite dishes at Cracker Barrel. Now, this triggered so much backlash. The internet was basically flooded over the last week with everybody debating, talking about this, and all that goes with it. Loyal customers completely felt like they are crapping on tradition and all the things that they loved about this restaurant. Political voices came in because, like everything, it became political. It became about ideology and what is happening. The CEO didn't help herself, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Shares in the stock market slipped. So this, at least for a day or two on paper, they lost millions of dollars there. And it literally took a week and all this backlash, and Cracker Barrel said, we're going to bring back the original logo. Now, again, I fully understand why they would have done this, but the CEO went on the news last week, and she literally came on and said that all the feedback that she had received about this new logo, and they were also updating the restaurants, getting rid of kind of the busyness and making it more like every other kind of box chain restaurant that you see out there. And she said all the feedback was fantastic. Well, she was either lying to us, lying to herself, or worse, just being fully surrounded by yes people that aren't giving her the proper data, the proper feedback, what's really happening. Now, again, I want to be very fair here because Cracker Barrel isn't in a great overall position. So they absolutely need to do something to refresh what that is. But their current bread and butter is going to be boomers, Gen Xers, who still are going to these restaurants to hold on to that nostalgia, that old time feeling of a time when you used to eat dinner around the dinner table or go to grandma's. So I understand all that. And now you need to get the younger generation into your restaurant. So how are you going to do that? Instead of this terrible fiasco explosion that just happened, this could have been done in a much easier and simpler way. So I'm going to share like 3 ways that you could use AI to prevent this from happening, or how Cracker Barrel could have used these type of tools to prevent this technically from happening to them, or at least make it less of a chance of this happening. But the one thing I do want to point out to all of you is this is a large publicly traded company. Well, let's say you are a self-funded startup that's marketing yourself. Let's say you're a small to mid-sized company. Let's say you're a small, medium marketing agency. This should make you feel a little bit better knowing that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are on this ladder. These type of mistakes happen. And you can't be scared of them. You have to learn from them. Now, hopefully you're learning from somebody else's mistake, but whatever that is, you can always learn from it. It's never the complete end of the road for you. So let's take a look at kind of 3 ways that they could have used AI to lower the risk of all of this backlash. Let's get into the bread and butter of this video. Now, I think you're really going to be able to have some solid takeaways from these 3 ways I'm going to show you how to use AI tools for your business. And understand, you don't need to be CMO of a publicly traded company to learn and apply from this failure. And that's what we're going to talk about. Because I don't look at this as just a refresh of a logo, a complete failure in doing that. I look at this more as a catastrophic failure in the ability to anticipate, understand, predict cultural reaction. And I'm going to put this on the screen. This is something I really want you to take home today. A logo is not there to decorate. A logo is there to communicate. Let me say that again. A logo is not there to decorate. A logo is there to communicate. And Cracker Barrel totally missed how this one was going to land. When you think about a logo, it emits emotion, a message, so many different things that come out of it. That's why I say it's not just some form of decoration. Think about going into an Apple store. What does the Apple logo mean to you? Well, for many, there's even Apple fanboys they've tagged out there. There are people that really pledge allegiance to Apple. They're in the ecosystem. They love everything about it. Now, it could be for a few different reasons, but when I think of an Apple logo, I think of innovation, great design, luxury item. When you walk in an Apple store, you feel like you're in this clean, modern, futuristic, or at least used to, space. Well, think about if you walked in your Apple store tomorrow and it looked like Best Buy. Yeah. If you're an Apple fanboy, your head just exploded. How could AI have prevented this mess? I've really been thinking about that. And how could you apply the same ideas? Well, first off, you could be doing what's called sentiment analysis. If you have enough data, and most mid-sized companies and up absolutely do, you collect all of that, your Google reviews, your reviews on other websites, your social media mentions, your engagements, any complaints or any success stories, any testimonials, or whatever that is. You just collect all of that you've had over the years. You could put that straight in something as simple as a .csv file and then upload that in your secure LLM. And I'm going to give you a prompt right now. I'll put that on the screen that you can use because it really is this simple. Ask it this: what words or emotions show up most often? I'll say that again. What words or emotions show up most often? Now think about that if you're a Cracker Barrel. Because if words like nostalgia or tradition keep appearing, well, you'll know that any change that touches those themes are going to be more of a challenge. The next way you can use AI that this is valuable, I use this one all the time, and it's called flashpoint detection. Flashpoint detection. You can use AI models to flag language or images or anything that might trigger political or cultural debates. You can see how, I can't keep up with the changes in our culture. Everything is changing so rapidly and we're getting more divided, and what's offensive today might not be offensive tomorrow and vice versa. So very hard to kind of navigate all those waters, and you're just trying to run a business. So unless you are catering to one side or the other in 2025, 2026 and beyond, for those of you that don't want to be involved in all that, this is a great way to help attempt to navigate through all this. So here's how you can use it. Run a draft campaign, product name, logo, whatever that is, into ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever your LLM of choice is, and run this prompt. And I'll put it on the screen. Could this be misinterpreted or tied to a culture war narrative? Now, what it will probably do is generate some of the negative headlines that could come out, so you are better prepared for those things. It gives you a chance to fully prepare or pivot. Worst case, it gives you some concepts to talk about in your creative meetings or the final meetings before approval. So that way you are pretty much ready for anything. Now, this is also a valuable tool to use if you start marketing or doing videos or content for other countries or other cultures, because I'm an American living in the United States, and some of the things that I do might be offensive to someone in Japan or Russia or wherever. So you can use this to say, hey, if I'm doing this, that, or the other, would this be offensive in Indonesia? So you can kind of protect yourself from some of that. Now, again, this isn't perfect, and you probably shouldn't just solely rely on ChatGPT not to offend an entire culture or nation, but it does give you something to start a conversation around. And clearly, with somebody like Cracker Barrel, there hasn't been much conversation. And for tip here number 3 on how to use AI to prevent something like this from happening to you, combine them into an AI risk assessment. So you bring that sentiment and flashpoint together and basically create a score around your campaign. So in our term, we would call this A/B testing. So create those different headlines, create those different ads, put the images to them, and then go in and do the sentiment, do the flashpoint. You've got all that data now. Now feed it into this risk assessment and find out on a score how likely these are to trigger some type of negative customer reaction. So this is very powerful. Here's how you can use it. So just paste your draft ads into, again, whatever LLM that you like to use. And here's your prompt. Again, I'll put it on the screen. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is this to spark negative customer reaction? How likely is it to be politicized? There you go. AI is going to show you the worst case headlines that pop up, the responses that critics might generate, and you could even add to the prompt, give me a color coding of green for safe, yellow for caution, and red for likely to backfire. So you've got this foolproof system. And again, we're not copy and pasting this. We're not taking this as gospel. We are collecting all this data. We are putting all of this into a report, and we're able now to get in our meetings and in our groups and be able to collaborate around this. If you're a solopreneur or a very small company with no budget, yes, you're going to have to lean on this a little bit more than what a big company is. But if you just use common sense and keep doing your research and do this in small chunks, this isn't going to happen to you, or at least the likelihood of a Cracker Barrel fiasco is going to be much less. Oh, and one more thing. Come here. I call this the AI tomorrow test, because if AI can show you the headline that your decision might create tomorrow, you can decide today if that's a risk worth taking. What's your logo moment? Where could AI save you from making your next big mistake? And that is all the time we have for today. If you found value, please hit that subscribe button, like button, get in the conversation in the comments section. I would love to hear from you. Well, my name is Harrison Painter. This has been the AI for Everyone Daily Brief. And until next time, keep creating, keep innovating, and most importantly, keep up. God bless you.
Thanks for listening. I'm glad you stayed. One more spark for the plans you've made. If this show hit, go share the vibe. Like, subscribe, let's build this tribe.